HR issues can kill you. One complaint against your company can turn your world upside down. And you spend way too much time dealing with HR when you should be spending your time on making a profit. You should talk to Bambee. With Bambee, get access to your own dedicated US-based HR manager starting at just $99 per month. They get to know you and your business while providing HR expertise and the personal touch you need and want. They're available by phone, email, and real-time chat, so onboarding and terminations run smoothly. Team members reach peak performance, and your business stays compliant with changing HR regulations. And with Bambee's HR Autopilot, you'll automate important HR practices like setting policies, training, and feedback. HR managers can easily cost $80,000 a year, but Bambee starts at $99 per month. Schedule your free conversation today to see how much Bambee can take off your plate. Go to Bambee.com right now and type in Accelerate under podcast when you sign up. It'll really help the show. Spelled BAM, BEE.com. Bambee.com. Type in Accelerate.
Welcome to Accelerate Your Business Growth with your host, Diane Helbig. Diane is a leading small business development and leadership coach, author, and speaker who is passionate about sharing valuable ideas, tips, and techniques with business professionals worldwide. Diane brings you the world's experts and gurus in all things business. Whether it's sales, structure, social media, planning, or plateauing, guests bring their expertise and energy to each episode. When growing your business is your focus, Accelerate Your Business Growth is the show to listen to. Got a topic or guest suggestion? Let Diane know. The goal is to make sure you have the information you need to move your business forward. Thanks for joining us. Settle in and enjoy.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's podcast is sponsored by Audible.com. Audible.com is a leading provider of spoken audio entertainment and information. Listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. Get a free book when you sign up for a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/businessgrowth. Accelerate Your Business Growth podcast continues to gain recognition as a great resource for small business owners, entrepreneurs, sales professionals, and as we continue to enjoy inclusion on lists of the best podcasts to listen to, please know that it is because of the wonderful guests who join me and share their expertise. Today we have such a guest, and I am so excited to be talking to her and learning all that we can from her. My guest is Shana Rattler. Shana helps entrepreneurs and influencers scale their business using a lucrative yet misunderstood source of cash flow and leverage, corporate sponsorship. Her best-selling book, Secrets to Landing Corporate Sponsorship, outlines her proprietary framework. That, coupled with her 15-plus years of experience, has resulted in hundreds of partnerships and millions of dollars in profit. She's helped clients like Steve Harvey, Lisa Nichols, and influencers known only in their niche. Thanks so much for joining me today, Shana.
I'm happy to be here.
I am thrilled to have you here, and I've got to tell you that I have been so excited about this topic because I know nothing about it, and
okay.
I want to know as much as I possibly can about it. So
awesome.
Yeah, this is a good one. But let's just start with why you think business owners should really know and understand this whole concept of corporate sponsorship.
So there's two things that I know about business owners. One, that most of us aren't making the amount of money that we should be, could be, would like to be. The statistics actually say that the average small business owner is making less than $25,000 a year in their business.
Wow.
There's a statistic that says only 2% of small business owners ever break the $1 million mark, and most of us have heard that. But the other half of the statistics that we don't hear very often is that of those that do, so that 2% of us who are actually making $1 million in our business, those companies, 56% of their revenues are coming from corporations. The other thing that I know about small business owners is that we are self-funding every single thing in our business, or we don't get to serve our clients in all the ways that we would like to because we don't have the cash flow to support it. And corporate sponsorship, it's a $22 billion industry, and a lot of that money is left on the table every single year because small business owners don't know how to ask for it, or they're just not asking for it. So when you look at those dismal statistics that have been around way too long, this is one of the most lucrative revenue streams that is out there. It's money for what you've already created, and we're going to get into that. But it's like, hey, like, why not, if we really want to leverage our businesses, why are we limiting ourselves just to selling to other consumers and business owners? Because most of them don't value investing in themselves or don't have the money to do so.
That is remarkable to me. Is there a business type that it doesn't work for?
Very few. So this works if you're a brick and mortar business. This works if you're an online business. This works if you're a coach, a consultant. There's very few types of businesses that this does not work for. It's best for businesses that have an audience both online and offline. So if you are in front of your audience in at least 2 to 3 different ways. So for example, you might be active on social media. You might have a database of clients that you communicate on a regular basis. You might have a blog that has traffic to it. You might have people in programs and courses. So most business owners, even if they own a store, they have customers that come into their store, and they usually have a database of customers that they are marketing to. And those of us who have online businesses, gosh, we're probably in front of our target market in more ways than we can count. So if you fall into either one of those categories, which is probably 98% of businesses, I can show you how to land a corporate sponsor.
Wow. Okay. So the next question that comes to my mind is, will a corporation sponsor with someone who's new in business or with solopreneurs?
Absolutely. So let's talk about for a second why it is that a corporation would even want to partner with any small business owner. And then we'll get into what makes you the most attractive. So if you think about the society that we live in right now, we are inundated with messages. Most of us are not watching television in real time, partly because we don't have time to watch it. And then 2, we don't want to see the commercials. So unless it's the Super Bowl, none of us are watching the commercials. We're ignoring billboards as we drive past them. And if you're like me, as you're scrolling online, you're so used to seeing, sponsored posts and advertisements that we've gotten good at ignoring those. So corporations are going, well, man, how are we going to continue to be in front of new audiences, spread our messages, and sell more of our stuff when traditional advertising and marketing just isn't effective anymore, which is where we come in as small business owners, because we have an audience that comes to us because they know us, they like us, they trust us, they're coming to us for advice and recommendations. So we have an audience that they would love to be able to get in front of that they may not be able to access through their traditional advertising and marketing. So when it comes to, is your business attractive to a corporate sponsor, you have to look at how deep is your engagement, right? So it doesn't matter if you have 500 people on your business page for Facebook or 5,000. Are they actually engaging with you? It doesn't matter if you have 1 program or if you have 100 program. Are people actually paying attention to what it is that you do? So it's less important of how long you've been in business and more important of what is the impact that you're actually having on your clients and customers. And if you can demonstrate the impact and influence that you have in your marketplace, it's very easy to get a corporation to say yes to you because the audience is always already built in and it's already warmed up. Does that make sense?
It does, very much.
Yeah. So it's almost for everybody, whether you're just getting started or whether you've been successful for a while. The brands that we've been building for however long, whether it's 6 months or 6 years, it's now time for us to leverage what we've built in our businesses and get this revenue stream that doesn't require us to do anything different than what we're doing every day anyway.
Right. Okay. So is it the same thing as paid endorsements or product reviews, or is it different?
Not at all. It's totally
Okay.
different. We're talking about, I had someone ask me on a webinar the other night, so are you telling me that my blog post is going to start to look like a NASCAR and there's all these logos everywhere? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. For one, corporations understand that real marketing is providing value. So when I say give a corporation visibility and access and exposure to the different ways that you're serving your target market, I'm talking about in value. So let's just say, for example, you have a private Facebook group and your Facebook group is made up of business owners, okay? Now,
Okay.
let's just say that, and I'm totally making this up, but let's just say that Verizon Wireless was your corporate sponsor. Just like you go live in your private Facebook group, could you not give Verizon the opportunity to go live in your Facebook group and give some valuable content? I actually saw Verizon do this where they said things like, hey, did you know that if your cell phone is in your personal name and you're writing that off as a business expense, that's a no-no and you better hope you don't get audited? So we're not talking about, paying Kim Kardashian $10,000 to say she's wearing your new lipstick. We're not talking about, hey, go buy the next waist trainer from Dillard's because it's the best thing ever. What we're talking about is giving these corporate sponsors the opportunity to engage with your audience and provide additional value. So think of it as, different ways of providing your audience with content, but it's still advertising and marketing, right? Like, so the reason why we give content to our audiences is so that they better understand the value that we offer and that they'll eventually buy something from us. So it's totally different than paid endorsements.
Okay. Great. So if somebody's listening and they're thinking, okay, well, I have a private Facebook page, or I have an online course that, a decent number of people are taking, or something like that. What are there things they have to, is there like a foundation they have to lay in order to get started, or are there certain things they need to do to get started?
Absolutely. The very first step that you have to master. So I teach a 3-part framework. It's position, package, and pitch. And unfortunately, there's a lot of inaccurate and outdated information that's out there about how you go about doing this. The most important step is, how are you positioning yourself to get the attention of a corporate sponsor to begin with? A lot of people just want to say, oh, you have to have a great proposal and know what goes into a sales conversation. Well, guess what? If you can't get the attention of the corporate sponsor to begin with, your proposal is going to be a moot point, as is your sales conversation, because you're never going to get that far. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to ask yourself, how am I currently being positioned in the marketplace? Does my website present my business as somebody that is the best choice for what it is that I do? Let's stick with a business coach because most people know what that is. If a potential sponsor was to look at my website, does it look like a high quality brand that the Coca-Colas of the world would want to partner with? Do you have third-party validation, meaning do you have testimonials of people who are saying how great your brand is? Have you written a book? Have people interviewed you on their podcast because they think what you're talking about is great? So that's the thing that you have to do, is that you first have to properly position yourself to show that you already have impact and influence in the marketplace. Because if I'm thinking about spending my money with a business coach, I want to spend my money with the best business coach. So how can you show the corporate sponsor that I'm one of the best options that's out there? So all of that has nothing to do with corporate sponsors, and it has everything to do with how you're currently positioning your brand in the marketplace. That is the solid foundation that most of us are probably already doing. We're just not doing it for the sake of sponsorships. We're doing it because it's the right way to build a business.
Right. Okay. Sorry, I'm taking notes. Okay. Great. So I'm debating something. So how do I want to ask this question. I sort of want to go back to this example, this Verizon example, because I find that so interesting. So
Okay.
are they sponsoring the private, in that example, are they sponsoring your business? Are they sponsoring the private page? Are they sponsoring the time that they share information?
They're basically paying you to have access to your audience. So here's what's different. Here's what's going to make you the most attractive. You, in your opportunity, because most people, when they think about corporate sponsors, they think about what? Live events, right?
Yeah.
So what makes you the most attractive is to give them the opportunity to engage with you in 2 to 3 different ways that you are in front of your target market. So let's take a section on our website. Let's take our private Facebook group, and let's just say we do an annual 1-day workshop. So what you're going to say to them is you're going to say, hey, look, on my website, I have a section on my website that is Motivational Mondays. And every Monday, I give a tip to business owners, right? And so you're going to give your corporate partner the opportunity to once a month be the person that offers that tip, okay? In your private Facebook group, you're going to give them the opportunity to be interviewed and share valuable content that is going to be of use to your audience. And then let's just say in your 1-day workshop that you're going to give them the opportunity to speak on stage. Now, I can't really go into pricing because there's so many variables, but they're paying to have access to your audience. So it's not like you're saying, okay, to be in my Facebook page, that's $500. To be at my event, that's $400. What you're doing is you're saying, let me give you the opportunity to get in front of an audience that you might not be able to give otherwise, and then they're going to cut you a check for that. They don't care what you do with the check. They don't care if that check goes towards Facebook ads or if it goes to pay your VA. So so in essence, your question was, what are they paying? They're actually paying you to advertise and market. And what you do with the money in your business is your business, as long as you give them the exposure that you promised.
Okay. So, so that's interesting. So how does someone who's listening figure out what they should be, I was going to say charging for that, but what the value is, or yeah.
So there's an entire formula. We're going to talk in a little bit about the book that I've written on this framework, and there's an entire formula that goes into how you price it. It would be way beyond overwhelm to discuss that in this format. What I really want to accomplish in this format is for people to recognize that this is possible for them, that they have already done the work to be ready for this, and kind of what do they do next. So like, let's figure out what wallpaper is going to go on the walls after we've built the house. Fair enough.
Oh, come on. Okay. No, I love it. It's great. I'm going to take a quick sponsor break, and then let's get into more of this. Accelerate Your Business Growth podcast is happy to be sponsored by Audible.com. Audible.com is a leading provider of spoken digital audio entertainment and information. They have over 150,000 titles to choose from, and you can listen to them on any device, including whatever you're hearing us on right now. If you sign up at our link, which is audibletrial.com/businessgrowth, you get 1 free audiobook and a 1-month trial of the service. Some examples of books you can listen to on audible.com are Transform Your Company by Alex Vorobiev and The Irresistible Consultant's Guide to Winning Clients by David A. Field. So visit audibletrial.com/businessgrowth, explore the books that are of interest to you, and receive 1 free audiobook when you sign up for the trial. Today we're speaking with Shana Rattler about leveraging corporate sponsorships to increase revenue. So
let's talk about what you just did, because I think that that's a great teaching moment.
Okay, great. What did I just do?
So Audible, I'm imagining, has given you something in exchange for you mentioning them on your podcast, right? So what you just did is one way that you can give Audible exposure to your audience. You could also interview people from Audible on one of your podcasts, talking about how much would it increase your and I'm totally making this up, but how much would it increase your productivity if you would use your drive time between appointments to actually listen to a book. And guess what? Did you know that Audible takes 2% of its profits every single year and gives it to women in underprivileged countries to help them build their business, now people are a heck of a lot more likely to go buy something from Audible than just because maybe we said, hey, you can get a free book. So that's just start, what I want your audience to hear is what are all of the different ways that your sponsor can influence the buying decision? Because I can tell you for sure that one time I was at a conference and I heard Staples say that they give a percentage of their profits and to women in underprivileged companies to help them start businesses. And I now drive further to go to Staples to give my money so that I know that it's going towards that cause than I do the Office Depot that's right down the street. And your sponsors recognize that that's always going to be so much more powerful than you just sticking their logo somewhere. Because when is the last time you've ever bought something because somebody had their logo on something? You didn't. However, if you give your sponsor the opportunity to engage with your audience, they now have the opportunity to influence the buying decision, which means whatever check I gave you, I now know that I'm going to get a return on investment.
That's so interesting.
So you see how it's not just advertising.
I do.
Even though it's a form of advertising, but engaged advertising is a lot more impactful than just blatant advertising. Because, why should I buy? Okay, great. I heard you say that I could get a book.
Yep. Okay. So how does someone find corporations that might be good to sponsor them?
The best place to start when you're first starting out is to look at companies that are within an hour of where you are, because it's easy to organically build relationships with them. So 9 times out of 10, this is going to be a person who works in advertising and marketing. So I want your audience to do something. I want them to pull out their computers, pull out their laptops, their tablets, whatever, and I want them to go to Google, and I want them to type in the name of their city or the next city, the largest city next to them, space corporate sponsorship, and see what comes up. Because you're looking for 2 different things. One, you're looking for companies that have sponsored something like yours in the past, meaning your audience. So, I see that they sponsored something else over here and the audience was business owners, and I've got business owners, so it's likely that they're going to do that again. Or look for places that people inside of corporations are going to be networking. Perhaps it's a business journal event. Perhaps it's a chamber event. And if you're not speaking directly to the person who's in advertising and marketing, you want to ask the person that you are having a great conversation with if they would be willing to introduce you to the person who is in charge of advertising and marketing. So that's the easiest way, is to look for companies that are in your own backyard, because it's easier to meet them. Now, there's multiple ways to find them, but that's the easiest way when you're just getting started.
Okay. And does it take a long time to complete the process, so to speak, to secure the sponsorship?
It doesn't if you do a few things right. So in my book, I talk about how do you build relationships the right way, and how do you really get your foot in the door and not get your toes smashed. So if you are building these relationships in a way that provide value and is not like, hey, I'm just trying to get to you because I know you have a check, it's a lot easier to get a meeting with them. And if you ask them, if you do your homework and know a little bit about what it is that they're trying to accomplish before you get that first meeting, it speeds up the sales process. One of the myths that is out there is that it just takes too long to close a corporate deal. And that's because most people don't know the right way to do it. But if you're building relationships in the right way, and you are reaching out to people to get that initial meeting in the right way, that is going to shortcut your process dramatically.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, because if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know how to do it, then you're like, oh, I've contacted all these companies and nobody's called me back. And then I met with them and I haven't heard anything from them. And so it's just a matter of, if you do it properly, it's not going to take near as long than if you're, bumping your head and making all the mistakes that I did in the beginning.
So, well, and I totally get that, because it's about like the sales process, and it really is about understanding that it is about the relationship, and you have to be willing to build it, right? You have to be willing to take the time. Yeah, it's so true. Okay. So if someone's listening to this and they're thinking to themselves, okay, well, it sounds interesting and I get it. And so far, there's some good tools, but they're curious about the sorts of results that they can expect. What would you tell them?
I can tell you that over the last 8 years, I have helped people position themselves from corporate sponsors all the way from business owners who have only been in business 6 to 9 months, all the way up to media stars like Steve Harvey. And every single one of them has been in position to be able to get money. I recently worked with a business owner who had been in business about a year, and within 30 to 60 days, she was able to bring in about $15,000 in cash sponsorship and an in-kind clothing sponsor for her speaking tour that she had coming up. So, it's the results are going to vary based on if you follow the framework the way that I tell you to do it. But I can tell you that if we go back to what we talked about in the very beginning of this interview, is that if you have a clear defined target market, meaning that you're not out there saying that your stuff is for anyone and everyone, and you are serving your target market in at least 2 to 3 ways, both online and or offline, you're in position to be able to show that you're sponsor ready and be able to bring in this money.
Okay, and that sounds to me like if someone's listening and they're thinking to themselves, okay, well, I really don't have that many avenues, that really their first step is to think about, are there other ways that they could be engaging with their audience that would make them more attractive to corporate sponsors?
Right. I would like to think that 95% of the business owners that are listening to your podcast are in front of their audience in at least 2 to 3 ways, because almost every business owner has a website. Almost every business owner has social media, and almost every business owner is selling something, or else they're not in business. So that's 3 ways right there. So what I would say to you is that if you're listening to this podcast and you're not serving your audience in at least 2 to 3 ways, then sponsorship is not your problem. Building a better business is your problem. And you need to think about what are all of the different ways that you could be adding value to your potential target market that you're not already, whether it's through great content on your blog, whether it's sending out a newsletter, whether it's going live twice a week on your Facebook page. So if you're not in front of your audience in 2 to 3 ways, I would say that you're doing your business a disservice by not doing so. And let's master that over the next 3 to 6 months, and then come back and start looking at, now, how do you get sponsors to pay you for what you're already doing?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I think that is a tremendously good point. So talk about, because I'm feeling like getting the book, it would be tremendously valuable. Will you talk some about the book and
Absolutely.
what's in it, and
Absolutely. So there's a 3-part framework. I alluded to that earlier that I teach, and it's position, package, and pitch. So how do you properly position yourself to get the attention of the corporate sponsor? That's obviously what you're doing before the pitch. How do you actually package what it is that you're doing and price it in a way that is going to show a win-win for you and your sponsor? And then how do you get your foot in the door to have the meetings and actually close those deals? This framework works for all industries, and it works whether you're just getting started or whether you've been in business for a while. And I put it together in a book format, and I didn't leave anything out. This is not a book that's a bunch of fluff and not a bunch of motivation. I'm going to assume that by the time you get there, you're already motivated. This is not a book where I'm just going to give you the what and the why and none of the how, and then you're going to go, okay, great. Now what do I do with this? And the best part is that the book is free. All you have to do is cover the shipping. So the book is called Secrets to Landing Corporate Sponsorship. And I have broken down every single thing that you need to do, what you need to send, what you need to say. There is a quiz or assessment that you can take at the beginning of it to find out exactly how sponsorable your brand is right now, and different things that you can do to make yourself more attractive to sponsors. I literally have not left any stone unturned. A person could read this book and be able to land a corporate sponsor without any outside help, just from the information that's in the book. So the book is free. You just cover the shipping, and you can get it at corporatesponsorclub.com. corporatesponsorsecrets.com. Corporatesponsorsecrets.com.
That is so awesome. Okay, and I really appreciate this information. I mean, like I said, I knew none, and even though I'm doing this thing with Audible, it is a certain way, but it's a question that comes up, and it's so mysterious, I will say, that the people really don't get it. So
it's lucrative. It's the most lucrative and most misunderstood revenue stream that's out there. And that's why I'm so generous and like, hey, just go get the damn book for free, because I want you to recognize that this will change the way that you do business. And it's the only revenue stream out there that doesn't require you to create something new. And for those of us who have been in business a while, the last thing we want to be doing, Diane, is creating another launch, creating another program, having to constantly produce new stuff. Like, we want to leverage after a certain amount of time. And there's no better way to do that than show somebody how they should cut you a check for the business that you've already worked so hard to build.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really is. Now, will you tell the listeners how they can find you and other stuff that you've got going on? Because there are definitely people out there who they'll get the book, but they still won't want to do it on their own. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on Facebook, and it's Get Corporate Sponsors with Shana Rattler. I go live there. I give tips there. We post lots of stuff there, and any other information you want to know about the business is on that page as well. So on Facebook, it's Get Corporate Shana Rattler. And if you want the book for free, it's corporatesponsorsecrets.com.
Terrific. Wow, thank you. It is really great. I know I'm going to get the book as soon as we're done here. So thank you for coming on and spending time with us and sharing that information. And thanks to the listeners and our sponsor. Remember to, if you want to get a free trial of audible.com and a free audiobook, go to audibletrial.com/businessgrowth. As always, continue to prosper and be curious. And until we meet again on another episode of Accelerate Your Business Growth, goodbye and good day.
Great careers are forged out of great relationships. Your success, whatever your field, relies and thrives on the support and insights of others. I'm Andy Lapata, an author and speaker on the power of professional relationships. In the Connected Leadership podcast, I have the privilege of interviewing people from around the world to understand the relationships that have made a difference on their journey and how their insights can help you. From Nobel Prize winners to Olympians, from NASA astronauts to peace campaigners, my guests have shared some captivating moments from their lives and careers. Combined with experts from leading universities, cutting-edge authors and giants of business, the Connected Leadership podcast aims to inspire, educate and entertain.